I'm in Salad and I saw Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. It is directed and written by Zack Snyder, and if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. This was requested by a Patreon. If you'd like to fast track a movie review, you can do that at patreon.com/ASEPresents. On with the review. The movie starts and we're following this military ship. This military ship is going to this specific place. It's going to this village where they have a bunch of farmers. There's this general guy who's going around talking to this village people. One of the village people be like, hey, no, we don't got enough food for you, dude. And then the actual head of food production guy is like, yeah, we have enough. And so this general man kills the guy that told him otherwise, and then is like, hey, we'll steal almost all of your food. He does not care. So this is an interesting setup. I'm like, okay, intriguing. And then the rest of the movie spends time on taming animals or looking at this flying animal. I hope that this appears in part 2 because it does not return again for part 1. Why do I need to be shown this animal taming process? What is this, Harry Potter? I mean, even in Harry Potter, there's a reason the Griffin comes back. The Griffin comes back and helps Harry or whatever the heck. In this one, doesn't even happen. Also, there's this main chick. She's big old fighter brain head. Also, I should say that everyone here is so forgettable. Like, wow, it's so forgettable. The only person that I remember is General Titus, is because he does not want to be called General Titus because he doesn't want to be part of this military, this authoritarian military world order. Also, I've heard that some people think that this is a Star Wars movie. I'd say this is Star Wars adjacent. This is not Star Wars, but we got some lightsabers. Very sus. We got these lightsabers that pretty much the only distinction between a Star Wars lightsaber and this lightsaber is every time it swings through the air, there's this like trail that goes through it, that goes through the air, which is cool. I'm a big fan of that. But it just seems it's inspired by Star Wars, but also by the sequels, and not the good Star Wars. I mean, there's little hints of every sci-fi, just in it's within itself because it's a sci-fi. But the one that reminds me the most of is definitely Star Wars. And so there's this rebellion starting to grow, because we have the villagers be like, yeah, we gotta work to make sure they're pleased. And then they'll keep working us like doghounds or whatever the phrase is. They'll keep working us. And then this chick, she's a Mary Sue. She is a Mary Sue because it does not establish within the movie that she has any sort of martial arts training until she starts fighting with the soldiers. Like, we have 2 soldiers that are left to just chill, watch over these villagers, making sure they're doing good. And these 2 soldiers, one of them is a full-on creep, and another one is like, hold back, but is not doing anything to change this guy's behavior, which is fine. It's whatever, you can't control other people. But then this freaking guy is like, oh, I'm gonna snatch you up, lady, and I'm gonna snatch you, and I'm gonna use you for my sexual pleasure, and you're gonna be turned into a whore. And like, stop that, dude. Wow, you're the bad guys? Yeah, I know you're the bad guys. I just feel like the bad guy stuff doesn't seem super motivated. It just seems like these are bad guys stuff. This is bad guys doing bad guy stuff for bad guy reasons, instead of establishing that this guy is really perverted and will do anything to touch a lady. Like, he'll get close to a lady, but I haven't seen him touch a lady. Maybe establish that like a couple of times, establish that the villagers aren't going to do anything about it, and then when it comes to this full-on I'm going to use you for my sexual pleasure grab, then it shows that, yeah, it's more realistic. I feel like I understand that more. But because it's not set up properly, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, you get the bad guys, and then you have the main chick. I don't even care enough to remember her name. because she has two names, actually. It's revealed later in the movie that she has another name that she goes by, but she doesn't want to be called. What the heck? Hey Jess, can you put the name of that main chick here? Because I don't freaking remember her at all. I only remember her by her face. I also only remember that she was a big, just magically knows martial arts. Also, there's a lot of slow motion. I mean, some slow motion is fine, but the amount of slow motion used in this movie is pretty egregious. There's some moments where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. It's a cool shot, but I know what how it's gonna work out. Like, I know that guy's gonna jump on that bird. You don't need to do a slow motion. I know that guy's gonna jump on that ship. I know that guy's gonna swing. I know it. I know exactly what's gonna happen. So stop with the slow motion parts and stop it. I don't need to see slow motion all the freaking time. Also, there's a lot of heavy-handed exposition. I mean, I like when we're in the moment with the characters. As an audience member, I like just seeing the character, the vibe of the room, the scene play out, and we have all these soldier dudes fighting this chick and what the build up to that. I liked that. What I don't like is in between those moments. In order to establish a character, we have to go flashback in time. There's a lot of time flashbacks in this movie. I'm like, stop that. That's not I don't like that. I find it distracting to go flashback in time. I mean, I know you're telling somebody a story, but like sometimes it's not even just a story, it's just a flashback. I'm like, this wasn't warranted at all. I don't get it. Why? I don't care about you more than I know about your backstory. And also, I mentioned the dialogue being heavy-handed with exposition. It seems like almost every interaction, if the interaction isn't combat-based and quick action-based in those action scenes, the dialogue is, oh, well, here's some history about the place. Here's a history. Oh, wow, here's some more history. And here's all the history in the world, and shove it in your face and shove it down your pie hole. And so I don't care about the world at all because I was given too much exposition. I wasn't fed this at all. I wasn't spoon-fed it, and so I gain a natural understanding of the world that I live in. I'm just like immersed in the world, and I'm getting given a bunch of exposition, and I feel like I'm supposed to memorize this, like I'm taking some sort of test. I didn't go to school so I could memorize details of a movie. I want to watch movies to experience the world. I want to experience the world, not dumped exposition everywhere. They train for rebellion. That chick just has natural military prowess, and it's not explained until the end, and the end is really dumb. The ending is... the way that she's explained, I don't like, but I'll get more on that later on in the movie, towards the end. So they've training, and then they go to this military base in order to get them where they're sore and to steal some resources of some kind. I lost track of the movie at this point. There's so much just going on. And I was just too confused about, well, why does this chick just have magical military prowess skills, and why are there just random flashbacks just orienting me from the timeline so I'm not like focused on what's happening here? And so we have them just at this military base with a bunch of ships and a bunch of soldiers come out and they shoot them, pow, 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 pow. The action scenes are pretty cool. They look cool. It seems very Star Wars. The production value, especially, most especially the sequels, I think I would describe the final fight scene as... it's the closest to Solo. Actually, I feel like this movie's closest to Solo than any of the Star Wars movies, especially with the nitty-gritty environment of it all and all the mechanical guys and all the soldiers and such. And it's like weird. I'm alright with it. I am alright with the vibe. I remember liking Solo when I first watched it, although there were some issues that I had with it. But, you know, this movie, aesthetically feels like Star Wars. So I cannot blame anyone who thinks that Rebel Moon is Star Wars, who thought it was Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. They say different things. Like, to refer to the Empire is actually called something else that I completely forgot because this movie just dumped exposition at me, and how am I supposed to remember all of it, dude? You're giving me way too much information for me to even take in. I just personally don't like being given facts instead of showing the events of what happened. You're just gonna give me exposition? This movie is pretty boring, not gonna lie. I mean, the action pieces are cool, it's all cool and handy dandy. Also, the most unrealistic thing about this movie is a man versus a woman fight. At any point, this guy fighting with this main Mary Sue chick lady, the protagonist, this chick, they're fighting, they're having a little bit of a gander, and they're just having an equal match. I thought this guy was stronger than her, and so he should be able to just punch her just fine. I know she's doing the old, I'm gonna go be like a snake and I'm gonna slither all over the place so he can't catch me. But at some points when he does catch her, he should be able to take all his body force and just pummel it because he's got more muscle than her. And that doesn't happen. She can take punches, she can deliver punches, he gets hit with those punches, but the only time in which it seems like he has the upper hand is when she accidentally slips and she almost falls, and then she throws a rope up and magically goes around his ankle without her looking at it for some reason, and then she pulls herself up and he's not dragged down, and then they have a fight and they continue, and then he falls off, and then it's just annoying. It's so annoying. I just don't like her being able to defeat this guy so easily, but luckily this guy is revived. He's being sent to this weird ice lake thing, and then there's this general guy who's like, hey, bring me my daughter. The way the exposition is done in this is so heavy-handed and annoying. I just hate her now. How can you gotta bring me my daughter, who is the most military trained person within the land and has passion and all this fun stuff. He's just describing his daughter to him for no reason. I'm like, why are you talking like this? You're talking like this so the audience gets it, but I'm like, stop. This guy shouldn't say this to him. Maybe another character should say this to the audience. Maybe her, when she's being attacked, and then people were like, hey, why are you able to do all these military moves and be all fluid and such? And then she explains herself. But no, she never does, and it's not set up like that, and so I hate it. So my previous experience to Rebel Moon before watching this movie was I heard that people really liked it or really hated it. There's a lot of people who said it was terrible, trash, awful, god, bad, terrible, doom stuff, terribleness, it was all terrible. Or it's not perfect, but there's some charm to it. Okay, here's my official analysis of Rebel Moon. It's mid. It's alright. If you turn your brain off, you could like this. But if your brain is as engaged as mine, you're gonna have some questions. You're gonna leave the theater like, I don't want to touch this anymore, dude. The exposition is way too heavy-handed. I just prefer a different way of movie telling. Personally, I think this movie's strengths are in its action, and its action is alright. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst either. I guess I like the graphics. It looks pretty. It's pretty. Also, they go back to their home planet, and then they be like, oh, you know, be a nice place to die here. And they don't even bring in that freaking bird. The bird creature, Pegasus? I don't know what it's called. It has like claws. It's not a Pegasus. But whatever it's called. It didn't even show up in the final fight. So I assume it will show up in part 2. They're going to be chilling in their home planet, and then these Imperial guys come in, the military dudes come in and demand their stuff, and then they'll be trained up and ready, and then it'll be a big old fight. That's what I predict for next movie. I hope all of these things that I've mentioned are fixed, but that what cannot be fixed is the heavy amount of exposition not done creatively. So I gotta give this movie a solid 6 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The algorithm really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 Redinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grind and listen to all them daily movie reviews, go to the Slate Tree. Find the way you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movie reviews. So you can go here. And until next time, I've been Salad. So I'll see you later, my salad croutons and bacon bits. Have you watched Rebel Moon? It's not good.